Hey, this lesson we're going to be looking at cancelAnimationFrame. So this gives us an option to cancel any of the request animations. So we set up a variable object and set a request animation frame, and whatever the request ID is, then we can also set that to cancel. So first of all, let's create some divs. So going into our default project here, I'm going to create a div on the page. So using the document create element, and let's create that div. And then within the div, I'm going to add in some text content and assign that to hello. And also let's add in some style and color. So I'll make it red, and div style position and set that to absolute. And then let's select the body tag, or we can select within the top and we can have it within the div there. So const top element, and using the document and query selector, let's select the element with a class of top. And then let's drop the div. We're going to append the div into the top element. So top element and append, and we'll append the div into that. So let's see what that looks like. So refresh. So there's our div. And what we want to do is we actually want to move the div position. So let's set the style left position and set that to 5 pixels, or maybe we'll do 50 pixels. So start it off somewhere near the center. And let's just make sure that's working. So we've got it moved over. And so what we want to do is we want to increase its position. So also let's set div, and this is just going to be a variable that I'm going to add in. So let's set x and give the value of x of 50, so that we have the same variable of our left position. So we're going to move it left, and whenever the element gets clicked, then we're going to stop the animation frame. So that's the idea and the objective for this, so that we can get a better idea of how this works. So now that we've added the element to the page, we can add in the animation frame. So the animation frame is just going to be a function, and I'll just call it mover. So we don't have to pass in any values into it. And within mover, we're going to take whatever the value of div x is, and we're going to set div x to equal to whatever the value is. Well, we'll just do +1. And then we're going to update the style property of it. So div style left, and let's set the position to whatever div x is plus, and then we need to add in the pix. So this is our function that's going to move the element. And also let's run that function then. So every time we click it, let's run that function. So div add event listener, and the event listener is going to be on click, and whenever it gets clicked, it's going to run the function, and within this function is going to be the mover right now. So just going to update this, and it's going to run the function mover. So whenever I click it, it's moving over slightly to the right. It's adding in that one pick to that element. So let's add in the animation frame. So setting up the animation frame, and I'll call it my Annie, and this is going to be the animation frame. So let's set up the request animation frame. So what this has done, this is the window request animation frame. So of course you don't need to include the window because that's assumed. And what it does is it tells the browser that we wish to perform the animation, and we wish to repeat the mover function. And then we also have to set up the request animation frame within the mover so that it will keep requesting the animation frame. So let's check it out, and this is going to be moving it across. And we actually also have to update this to let, because it's not going to be an object, it's just going to be assigned to that value. So that will take care of and remove out that error. So basically it's moving it over to the right hand side. So we need a way to stop it. So let's update the click event, and I'll just call it stopper, and we're going to run a function, create a function that's called stopper. We don't need to pass in any values. And what this is going to do is this is going to cancel the animation frame. So we don't need to assign any variable to it. Cancel animation frame and the animation frame that we want to cancel. And actually we should be referencing not the function, but let's reference the assigned variable. So the myAni. So let's try that and click it, and that stops it. So we should also check to see if it's been clicked. So if the animation frame is stopped, then we can also restart the animation frame. So I'm going to set up a variable to toggle, and I'll call it tog. So it'll be true. And we'll check if tog is true, then it's going to cancel the animation frame. Else, then it's going to set tog to true. And actually, we need to also set tog to false here. So the next time it gets clicked, it can start the animation. And then we just set up the myAni variable once again. And clean that up, beautify that, save. So what I've done here is I've added in a tog value. So this will allow us to toggle. So whenever we click it, the first time we click it, if tog is true, then it's going to cancel the animation, set tog to false. If we click it again, tog is going to be false, so then it's going to set tog to true and set and start the animation. So see what that works. So when we click it and click it again, stop, start, stop, start. So that's how we can stop and start the animation using JavaScript.